To host Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, party leader of the Wiper Party and of course co-principal in court. So thank you so much for joining us in studio. It's been a while since we've seen you live on air. So tell us, Kalonzo, where have you been? What have you been doing? Of course, it's been a busy weekend for Wiper and we'll come to that. But a lot of people wondering, has it been quiet for you for a while? Have you been equally busy as you were in government? What have you been doing?
Well, Julie, it's been quite a while, in terms of coming to the studio, but I've been very busy. I've been around. I'm quite sure that our viewers may remember that one time I was asked by the Secretary General of the Commonwealth to observe elections in northern Sri Lanka.
Right.
As a result of those elections, by the way, there was quite a change, because the whole president was voted out of office. And that was a very pivotal moment. We've been around. We were around during Sabasaba, and since Sabasaba we've been quite active. Yes, so we've been around, Julie.
So lots of questions. We obviously teased to the audience to send their views on yourself and the party and the way forward. Lots of views have been coming in. First and foremost, perhaps let's play a clip of what you said yesterday about the future for Kalonzo Musyoka. Okay. A lot of rumors about possibly being offered a job by the Jubilee administration. Let's see what you had to say about that.
Wanadhani Kalonzo Musyoka ndiye Wamalo, Eugene. Mimi ni Eugene. I would rather die than compromise my conscience. Hata nyinyi angalieni. I was ready in 2002. Raila Amolo Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Moses Wetangula, hakuna mtu anaweza kuwatenganisha.
So those were your words, very passionate, very emotive yesterday. And, you know, I want to take you back for a moment. And this question was asked by Bernard Churchill on Twitter. He says, ask Kalonzo whether in 2007 Kibaki won, and if not, why he never refused to join government at that time. I remember that time, and being in the media, we were speaking to your team, and they said to me, no, we may be offered a position, but we'll never accept it. And an hour later, the announcement was made. Why did you accept the position in 2007 for vice president? And is there something different now? If so, what's different?
Julie, I think first of all, it's important to go back to history. And I don't think the circumstances were as they are today. In fact, that time, I don't remember issuing a denial. Because decisions, momentous decisions like that, always a product of serious consultation. It never is always the case that is Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka alone sitting at a corner, or 2 or 3 people. By the way, Wiper is a movement. So the proper description is always Wiper Democratic Movement. That's the name of my party. And I make a distinction between a movement and a monument. Because this involves people's movement, aspirations, managing people's aspirations. So in 2002, 2007, I beg your pardon, when I was a candidate, remember, the Orange movement was split. And I always make a joke between my friend Raila and myself. We didn't even know how to divide the orange, because I kept an orange and a half, and he kept a whole orange. And the result is pretty well known. It's part of very, very difficult history, because this country went through tragedy, and those are moments of management of a national tragedy, the bloodletting that was taking place, as a result of which, after consultations, it was decided that the 10th vice president of this country, who happened to be myself, was not an appointee. I think Kenyans may remember that every other vice president was always appointed by the president, but ours was a negotiated vice presidency. And I believe history will prove us right, because we stopped the bloodletting. And of course, subsequently, Kofi Annan and the team came on board. And I think that we are acquitted. We're acquitted.
Let's go to more questions on leadership. And before we look forward, just looking back, and it's now, of course, you haven't been in government over this administration, but prior to that, I think it was the early 90s that you came in, and in many pivotal dockets, of course, we know the work you did regionally to try to ensure there was peace in the region. But on Twitter, somebody asks, please do tell us, what do you feel you achieved, and what legacy do you think you left having been in government over that period?
I talk about the period of the vice presidency or this
before
other period.
The whole period,
Yeah,
right past the vice
absolutely,
president,
absolutely.
and before that as well.
Yeah, we know we played our role. For instance, I can recall when we were amending Section 2A of the Constitution. I kept on praying, Julie, because some people were saying, no, we shouldn't touch. And I could see that it was necessary to amend the Constitution. As National Organizing Secretary of KANU at the time, I played my role. I can also remember the day I went to observe elections in Kiharu. The moment Mzee Matiba was taken to detention. And I went there. I remember that the contest was between the late Dr. Kiano and one Jidra Mweru. Now, Jidra Mweru scored exactly 366 votes against Dr. Kiano's over 10,000. I remember Lady Jane Kiano throwing her dress up in the air. And I came and said, this is a mistake. Those, the more powerful type in KANU, did not take that kindly. So we were agents of change all through.
So pivotal.
And this, by the way, I'm sure will be highlighted in some publication that will be coming out soon.
Let's go now to the whole issue on the ground right now. Okoa, Kenya, of course, happening. The push for the referendum. The calls, especially the recent new calls for a poll to be held early, for Kenya to go to elections early. And Sami on Twitter asks, ask Kalonzo Musyoka, what do you want, early polls or a referendum? Which would it be?
Thank you, Julie. At the moment, we are focused on Okoa, Kenya. And by the way, just to take you a little bit back on the clip that we saw, I don't mean any harm to my friend
so there's no viciousness.
Eugene, because he accepted.
It seemed like a dig, though.
No,
certainly.
Eugene is a good friend, and I wish him well. But I cannot be him. In his case, he accepted to join this government. I made my position very clear, and I actually called on the delegates yesterday not to fall into that temptation of occasionally joining the club of Kenyans who are always suspicious of one Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. I'm as simple as I am, always only guided by what is in the best national interest, and therefore stressing, as always, servant leadership, mixing with the ordinary Kenyans. By the way, I've been very busy at that level, and yesterday intermingling with my delegates, my party delegates, was amazing. And so, back to your question, Okoa, Kenya or early polls? I have seen the interaction, if you call it altercation, between my friend Raila Odinga and William Ruto, and clearly that is uncalled for. We are focused on the referendum push, and this is very important at this particular time. We really have to save this nation.
We're going to net search in a moment, and I'm going to take your views on what Kenyans have been searching in just a moment. But before I do head towards net search, you know, with respect to Eugene and with respect to the way our leaders speak to each other, I think in so many ways it really does heighten the viciousness and the malice that we sometimes then see reflected on social media platforms. Do you think we can elevate our conversations?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, Julie, we have to. We must always remember, at the end of the day, we are all Kenyans. We will differ on policy, sometimes viciously, but I don't think we should allow ourselves to have a debate degenerating to name-calling. Sometimes it's written all over people's faces, the anger. I mean, sitting here with you, Julie, I know if I was President Uhuru Kenyatta, I wouldn't want to dissolve my government now or call for early elections. We know this. But it's a challenge that is coming out from the Prime Minister, saying the country right now is at a crossroads. And I think if you look at the level of insecurity, Julie, you are tempted to agree with somebody who is coming out of frustration. By the way, when we lost Eugene, right, you saw everybody get together. It looks to me that in moments of national tragedy and grief, this country gets together. Remember what happened in 1998 after the bombing of the American embassy? Kenyans have a way of getting together.
And that's what
but
we
thereafter,
need. Yes.
And remember, I took the opportunity at Fidel's funeral service to say, let's now sit and dialogue. Let us sit and reason together. But our friends in Jubilee did not seem to like that. And we say, fine, we'll go on. And this is why Okoa Kenya now is becoming a reality.
My reference was actually to the way we refer to each other, which was, and I think that's why you felt you needed to refer to what you said about Eugene and say no bad feelings.
No offense, man.
That we can elevate the conversation, and perhaps let's do away with one of the issues that may be a non-issue. I'm not sure, it may be an issue. So let me pose the question a lot of people are asking. Have you been offered a position in government by the Jubilee administration?
You know, Julie, that's a very interesting question, and I made it very
Is there a
clear.
long answer or a yes-no answer to that one?
No, and I hope it remains that way.
Okay, thank you. So that's a non-issue, and we can put that to sleep and focus.
That's a diversionary issue.
Okay.
There are more important issues that are facing this country.
Thank you. We can focus more on the development matters. We come back with more questions, and some people are asking, what does Okoa Kenya, what does the bill offer to the Kenyan Mwananchi? So we come back to that. But first, I'm told to go to NetSearch and take a look at what Kenyans have been searching on Google over the past week. This looks at search trends between 19th of April and 26th of April for Kenya. At number 10, we have Rhino TK. This is QFM radio presenter, popularly known as Rhino TK. Kukuni Kwena is his name. He was a trending search subject after his death in a road accident yesterday. Messages of condolence from friends, family, fans and colleagues were posted on his Facebook wall, with many expressing shock over his death. May he rest in peace. At number 9, this one is Nerea, a song by Sauti Sol. It features upcoming artists Amos and Josh, and people focused on this following its release on Monday. The song has so far garnered over 250,000 views on YouTube. These are the things that Kenyans are searching. At number 8, let's have a look. And this is certainly has been a topic of interest in the press as well. Yemen and Uhuru Kenyatta. Yemen is, of course, an Arab country in Southwest Asia, and it drew interest after a plane carrying President Uhuru Kenyatta to Dubai was forced to turn back following navigation challenges allegedly caused by military activity in Yemen. At number 7, it is the Nepal earthquake. Nepal was a topic of interest for Kenyans online after a powerful earthquake occurred yesterday near its capital, Kathmandu, killing more than 1,900 people and flattening sections of the city's historic center. And number 6 is Bruce Jenner. Now, Bruce Jenner is an American Olympic gold medalist and stepfather to reality TV star Kim Kardashian. Jenner, 65, was a trending search topic after revealing that he was now a transgender woman. He revealed this on Friday during an interview with ABC's renowned TV personality Diane Sawyer. We continue with our interview. Do you see what Kenyans are searching on Google? What are your thoughts on, you know, there's focus on celebrities and of course tragedy always draws interest. There's focus on music. We obviously have a very young youth population, and interestingly enough, would you have known who Bruce Jenner was?
No, but I can tell you I congratulate Kipsang and his friend Kimeto.
Excellent.
I saw some friendly contest where they were saying today, yeah, we are friends, but when we get onto the marathon lane, everybody for themselves. Okay? And it's exciting. 1, 2, 3, Julie.
It's amazing.
This is the Kenyan spirit.
And a woman taking, you know, the silver, Kenyan, and East Africa taking all the medals, which is incredible. Can our politics get to a point where they do the same? They say we are friends.
It's difficult in politics.
Yes.
I think it is. Let's be realistic. If you look at right now in the UK, Cameron and Miliband at each other for the anticipated contest in May between the Conservatives and Labour. And of course, I saw Hillary Clinton get into a bus and begin a journey, hopefully to succeed President Barack Obama. So when it comes to that, you should watch the debate between the Republicans and the Democrats. It's always that. But I think it should be that we differ on policy, but at the personal level, be like the lawyers. I mean, representing our clients, we go and argue and differ, but we go and have a cup of coffee. This is what we need to be able to develop.
Absolutely.
Politics of tolerance, all right? But
Why
let us also
has it-
avoid...
You've been on this scene for over 2 decades now,
Yes.
Kalonzo. What is wrong? And politicians know that at the end of the day, you know you will sit and have coffee with Uhuru, just as you sit and have coffee with Raila. You know you will do that. But very often the politicians leave the people on the ground viciously suspicious, the tension rising. How do we end that once and
Absolutely.
for all?
Well, this is what you're trying to inculcate. If you look at the very peaceful National Delegates Conference we had yesterday as Wiper Democratic Movement, you see we cannot do those things. We can actually practice politics of tolerance and understanding. Our intention as Wiper Democratic Movement is of course to take over reins of leadership of this country. But we also know we will be up against competition. We are not afraid of competition. So I think, Julie, it's a matter of having people, and I think there's this culture that has been developing. First of all, because people spend huge sums of money bribing voters. Remember the very unfortunate case of the pyramid schemes, where people used a lot of money, right? You even get people committing suicide because all the life savings were used, and then you end up getting people through pyramid schemes going to parliament and continuing that culture. When you give people a lot of money during campaigns, of course you're buying their loyalty. To some extent, they turn violent. If you tell them, let's go for Julie's neck. Yeah? So all of these I think has a lot to do with corruption in the leadership in the minds of a lot of our leaders.
We've had corruption institutionalized in Kenya from way back. It's nothing new. It's something that has existed. It's been described as a dragon that needs to be slayed, and we've had people come in left, right and center determined to change the situation.
That's right.
So you've spoken, I think, on corruption.
Absolutely.
And having been in government for as long as you were, what did you do about that dragon?
Well, I've seen it come. I do my bit, and I
Which
think
is what?
Kenyans will remember. Yeah, in terms of legislation, as for instance, leader of government business in the House, we set up the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, which now Jubilee have killed completely. And I agree entirely with Chairman Nyachai, the chairman of the CIC, when he said the Secretariat has no mandate to handle any file and pass it on to the DPP. It's just dead. And here, that's what I actually call hoodwinking the Kenyan people into believing that Jubilee is serious about the fight
Are you
against
saying with
corruption.
all the people who have stepped out of office for investigations that nothing is being done? Is that your comment?
I think this is dead as a dodo. Nobody can expect anything after the 60 days.
What would you do? And we're coming now to...
Now this is a problem of Jubilee. They will of course be taken seriously or rubbished by the Kenyan people at the polls. Now, Julie, I'd rather we discussed Okoa Kenya.
I'm coming to that.
Thank you.
I'm coming right to that.
Thank
But
you.
my question to you, as we go into Okoa Kenya, one of the critical issues is, and we finish with Okoa Kenya, one of the critical issues is corruption. Of course, you know, insecurity is the other key issue. We have major issues with getting access to healthcare to people, although this is changing. You know, what will Okoa Kenya bring to the ordinary mwananchi? What
Look
does
at
it
this
offer?
insecurity. Right now, on social media, through SMSs, Kenyans are being advised to avoid being in heavy traffic jam situations between 6 and 8 p.m. You can see what that means. Kenyans are living in fear. And by the way, I was given this, shown this by Chinese friends. This is it. And you can see now, even the international community living here are so scared.
So the question is, what would you do, and what does
Absolutely.
Okoa Kenya offer?
Okoa Kenya, for instance, when we are saying we need to make sure that security is given primacy of place in consideration. It needs experienced hands to be able to handle security. When we speak about the problem of Somalia, I'm convinced, Julie, that unless we take some decisive measure to be able to consider pulling our men out of Somalia to the common border, that is not cowardice. That is acting in the best national interest of this country. Had we sat with Jubilee, would have told them. But now we have to put this in the Okoa Kenya bill. We are saying that it is important for Kenyans to go home after voting, knowing that there's integrity of the vote, that, you know, once they cast their vote, nobody's going to mess around with it.
So just to be clear on the issue of security.
So this IBC issue is basic.
We're coming back. We're coming to that. I want to stop you there because we're trying to tackle security, and you say the Okoa bill offers a lot, and you say one of the things is giving it priority, the other is pulling out of Somalia. Is that when you say, for instance, experienced people in the docket? I think you referred to that. Such as who? Are you saying then that those in the docket are inexperienced? I think what people want from Okoa now is detail of what would be different, what would they be offered, so they can make informed decisions based on specifics.
Our presence in Somalia is assisting the youths to get radicalized, because they are seeing what's going on in Kismayu, they are seeing what is going on with their charcoal in their country, they are seeing a lot of economic sabotage going on out there. Of course they want to blame our people, and therefore when I did what we considered the Fourth World War, Americans pulled out of Mogadishu. Let me tell you that between Djibouti, Ethiopia and Kenya, we're taking a principled position that because we are frontline states to Somalia, we should, as a very last resort, think of going in there. Ethiopia could not do it. They moved in 2006, and 2009 they pulled out of Somalia. We moved in exercise of our own rights, right? The doctrine of hot pursuit, in order to restore what was happening to our tourism.
Serious incursions.
It was never our intention to stay there for more than 1 year.
And also it must be said, not just to tourism, but to ordinary Kenyans who lived
tourism
on the
dead.
borders.
Tourism in the coast is dead. I mean, if you imagine, somebody can actually say our economy is the fastest growing in the world.
So pulling out
Do they go to Mombasa and see what's happening?
So pulling out of Somalia is a critical factor for Okoa, Kenya?
Not just for the sake of it. It is that leaders must always act in the best interest of their nation. When Barack Obama took over the leadership of the U.S., he made it a policy to say we will pull our soldiers out of Afghanistan and Iraq. And by the way, September 9/11 happened because of radicalization. Boko Haram and Al-Shabaab will require experienced hands to handle, because Kenyans now are at risk.
Now, share your views. It's a controversial issue.
Very controversial.
Share your views on that. 22422 on SMS and on Twitter at Citizen TV Kenya. So many questions come in. I want to give you an opportunity though, because our time is already up. Let's go a little bit more into Okoa, Kenya, as you wanted to. So again, what other areas are pivotal? What must people know about
the draft that we launched, by the way, at Bomas of Kenya? It's not written on stone. We are expecting Kenyans to interact with this. Actually, a public participation, that phrase is now a constitutional phrase, public participation. And we've received very interesting interactions over, some feedback. Friends feeling we need to strengthen the freedom of the media. Kenyans will remember that Jubilee has been trying to do everything it takes to take us to the dark old days when media was supposed to be the preserve of those in authority. And this is important. Therefore, we may have to ask our drafters to look at that again. But the key planks, if you like, Julie, have to do with land reform, because this is a subject, again, that has literally been unable to be resolved by political leadership. We think we should take it to a referendum. For instance, there's been this fight between the National Land Commission and the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, and so that needs to be resolved once and for all, so that all manner of dispositions in land will have to be the preserve of the National Land Commission. We want to make it clear, because land is very sensitive. It is of a land that Kenyan blood was shed in order to gain independence.
It is critical.
IBC is the other subject.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think a lot has been spoken about IBC. And the other issue, of course, is very important. As we look at IBC, we want also to look at the infrastructure, the electoral infrastructure, registration. So Kenyans who have attained the age of 18 years get their IDs with which they can then register as voters. There's a lot of unfair practices, manipulation of other subjects. We cannot therefore go to the next election until these matters are dealt with.
Now, our time is up. I have a final question for you that quite a number of people are also asking. Do we expect to see you on the ballot come 2017?
Yesterday, the delegates actually gave me the mandate. I must thank them for unanimously endorsing me as the party leader. And of course, as a co-principal, my brother Moses Wetangula was there. My brother Raila sent Senator Jim Orengo to represent ODM. And so, lovely occasion. Kenyans expect that we'll move on. I was given the go-ahead and I accepted that I would take this challenge. But as we take this challenge, I also affirm the fact that I'm in code to stay. I know that although we want to grow our party, we also need the collaboration of others, Ford Kenya and ODM. So we will be going in that direction.
So
and I hope this time I hope, as I said yesterday, I was ready in 2002 when Mzee Moi said, Uhuru Tosha. I was ready in 2007, and you know what happened. In 2013, I was able to take a back step and allow my brother Raila, in the hope that we could really, literally slay this dragon of tribalism, so that we will never again have to talk about tyranny of numbers, that kind of thing. Terminology that is so frightening to the ordinary Kenyan. We want to be able to build one nation, one people.
Watch this space, says Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. We're taking a break. Your views are coming in hard and fast. We'll take some of them straight after the break. But thank you so much for making time to be with us. Stay with Sunday Live.